Be'ezus Hashem Yisbarech, we will continue what we are learning in the holy letters of the Baal Tanya, letter number 12. The Shia is the Schus Refuah Shalema for Hinda Basta Barachel. Well, we are learning this holy letter of the Baal Tanya, letter number 12. And we are culminating this deep, fascinating journey deep into the essence of compassion. And we are explaining in the most profound sense some of the deepest, most mysterious and almost secretive concepts that are in Chassidic philosophy, that are the beginning of the Torah of the Messianic Era. And as we are learning, the holy Baal Shem Tov, when he made the transmigration of the soul, when he made Aliyas Teshama, Rosh Hashanah, and he asked Mashiach when Mashiach is going to come, Mashiach told him, when the wellsprings of the fountain of knowledge of your Torah, the new inner dimension of Torah, where we know that the Baal Shem Tov learned with Achiya HaShiloni. Achiya HaShiloni is one of the people who are still alive today. And he learned with the holy Baal Shem Tov for 10 years the inner dimension of the Torah. And he gave the Baal Shem Tov the mission to share this with the Jewish people. And just like in this Managolus of the Mitzrayim, the Yidden suffered for 210 years, and that suffering, the way the Holy Baal Tanya explains it in Torah Or, that suffering refined them, refined the ego, and allowed them to be at peace with each other, allowed them to be in a tremendous sense of interaction, of appreciation of the revelation that was going to come to them at Kriyas Yamsuf. This idea alone is replaying itself now. So we've discussed at length the core of the sin of the Chet Eitz HaDaas, that we are 6,000 years, the essence of the Torah, the essence of the 6 days of creation, the 6 days is to refine our 6 energies, our 6 emotive faculties. We have our kindness and our judgment. And then we have the one who combines them both, which is compassion, the core of our heart. And then we have the way that that's expressed to another person. And those are the 6 midos, chesed, gvura, tferes. The right side of the heart, the giving part, the receiving part, and then the one that mixes them both together. That compassion. The one that creates the feeling for another person, the interaction for another person. So we have the chesed, which is just about me giving, the gvura, just about me judging, and then to mix them both together, to judge, but to give, to interact. If I see a poor man coming to the shul, and I just give him $1,000, there's no relationship. If I see a poor man coming to the shul, and I decide not to ignore him, there's no relationship. But if I see a poor man coming to the shul, and I listen to him, and I judge him, and I wonder why he doesn't have, and I ask him, and I interact with him, we've created a relationship of compassion. But that relationship is a culmination of 6 energies. Not just chesed and gvura, and then compassion. Because compassion is just a feeling in my heart that I want to suffer with him. But netzach hoid yisoid and malchus, I have to actually move towards him. I actually have to integrate. I have to actually do an activity. I have to move my feet. I have to move my whole energy towards him. So even when we're talking in a level of emotional intelligence, as we said, the eyes are the heart of the face. The two eyes, the right side and the left side. With your right eye, you're looking at everyone kindly. With your left eye, you're judging everyone. And with your nose, you're breathing in the breath of life, which gives vitality to the right eye and the left eye, which forces you to combine them two and to judge the person, but to judge them favorably. And when they are done in entire unity, in an inner dimension from Chassidic philosophy, then there's a different eyes and nose. There's a different, some people judge, they knock away a person, they judge a person with their nose. And some people, their nose is a tremendous sense of compassion because it reminds them of they breathe in life and they realize that they're equal to their fellow. But even if you look at a man with emotional intelligence, with true zivik pnimi, inner emotional intelligence, tremendous compassion, even if you look at somebody with tremendous compassion, and your eyes shed a tear for him, and your nose breathes in the breath of life where you realize that he doesn't have what I have only so I could give him. It's wonderful. But you haven't started a relationship with him. You've internalized a fire that's maybe never ending and everlasting, but until you smile to him, until your netzach and your hoid and your soid, until your emotional intelligence is brought down to the torso of your face, until you start the interaction is that smile. You know, the emoji is not just the eyes and the nose. It's the lips. What are the mouth expressing to the person? Before you even say a word to him, how are you bringing your emotional intelligence down to communication? Your soid and your malchus, your brainstem and your mouth are going to bring out all your feelings. But you have these 6 midos, the chesed, gvura, and tferes of intelligence. So your brain is chokhmah, your brain is bina, whatever it is, your man or woman, that's your intelligence. But your chesed, gvura, and tferes, your kind eye and your judgmental eye and your nose, which is the core of your heart, the core of your emotional intelligence of your face, that's how you suffer with him. That's how you judge him. That's how you feel him. That's how you decide to give him. But that's still emotional intelligence. He doesn't know anything about you and him. He doesn't know what you're feeling. It's true that you need that compassion in order to give him. But how are you starting to give him? Your netzach and your hoid is your lips, your 2 cheeks, those two. My netzach is my overwhelming desire to share with him, to smile to him, to make him know that I know him. And it's that smile that the child waits for. The acknowledgement, the validation, the empathy. So it's not just the eyes. The eyes could shed a tear and the nose, but without the mouth smiling, without the frown, without that tremendous empathy, without the feeling, the bringing down of the emotional qualities to communicate a force, without bringing that out to the person, they remain in isolation. And these are the 6 midos of life, the 6 days of creation, the 6,000 years, each one a different energy. Because it's not enough to compassion. The compassion must come into action in speech, in your mouth, and actually intelligence. It's not enough that you suffer with the person. You have to tell him words of validation. And how are those words going to come out if you don't bring them down this trickling process of the 2 eyes and the nose, and to suffer with him, but then to actually smile to him, to share with him, to show him that ponim sochokois, that ponim irois, the savor ponim yofes. The Rambam says somebody who gives tzedakah with a beautiful, with a countenance, with a mefaisoi. The comforting starts with the savor ponim yofes, with a beautiful smiling face. That smile is not your eyes and your nose, that's your mouth. That's the netzach and your hoid, the splendor and the majesty, the endurance to bring out that compassion, but not the netzach and hoid that bring a general compassion. We're talking about an intimate, internal compassion, a smile where the person sees in your face that you've become his friend. You've known him. You've started a relationship. And then the words that come out of such a mouth, the words, whether it's a man or a woman, that empathy, the tremendous validation, the understanding that's come with a smile that could light up a person's life. That's the most magical thing in the world. And that is the whole idea of these 6 energies. Of course, they start with the intelligence, the Chachma and Bina Das, which is deep in your brain. And the Chachma and Bina Das is the Torah. It's the Eitz HaChaim. It's the Shabbat. It's the day. It's before the creation of the world. It's what Adam and Chava even got after they sinned. They went into Shabbos. And Shabbos is Chabad. Shabbos is the Aliyah. We go up into Chachma Bina Das. Chachma of Hashem. The Bina of Hashem, the Das of Hashem. What is the Chachma and Bina of Das of Hashem? The Chachma and Bina of Das of Hashem is that I want there should be compassion. Kosav Rachmana. The whole Torah is that I'm going to create 6 days. I created the world with the Torah. The Torah is the Chachma. But the whole purpose of the Torah is that there should be Rachmanis from the first Ois of Bereshis to the last letter in Parshas Devarim. The whole secret of the Torah, what's the side of the Torah, is that there should be Rachamim. There should be these 6 midos. Oh, Rachamim is only one of them. No, Rachamim is the core of the 6. You have Chesed, Avraham Avinu, you have Yitzchak, Gvura, but then you have Yaakov, Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, the culmination. You have Netzach, Hoid, you have Moshe, Aaron. You have Yosef, you saw it, but then the ultimate is Malchus, the ultimate is David HaMelech, the ultimate of all the Shevaroyim. All of them are one thing, to bring compassion into a deeper level. Each midah, you facilitate and unite compassion. That is the purpose. The purpose is to bring Yaakov Avinu, Derech Koichav Yaakov. The whole goal is that Yaakov Avinu, Nitzutze Shel Yaakov, that Yaakov Avinu is Nizgala in every single Jewish person, that Avraham Avinu and Yaakov Avinu and every single Jewish person becomes the purpose. That is the ultimate purpose. That's what Mashiach is going to bring into the world. And this explains the holy Balatanya, is the magical idea of Chassidic philosophy. That just like 210 years, the Jewish people suffered. And they suffered only to be able to create compassion. Meaning to say that Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov were perfect. And Yaakov was the ultimate perfection. But then Yaakov gave birth to 12 Shvatim. The 12 Shvatim gave birth to 70 souls. And then from the 70 turned into hundreds of thousands. And how do you make all of them Bnei Yisrael? When you say Shema Yisrael, you don't only talk to yourself. You're talking to Bnei Yisrael. You're talking to Israel, Israelites. You're talking to the whole Jewish nation. How does the whole Jewish nation become Yisrael? How does the whole Jewish nation become Yosef or Yaakov, Abraham? How did that happen? And for that, you have to understand the secret of the whole entire Torah. You have to understand the story of why the Torah doesn't start with Achodesh Azalechem. The Torah starts with Bereshis to explain to you the tremendous problem with man, Adam Arishan, Chava, as we explained extensively, and the Nachash. That as soon as you see the body, and you say the body reflects God, so how can God be one, and I could be one, and you could be one, and we all be one? How does it happen? And that is the point of compassion. It's only through compassion. Artificial intelligence could unite the world, but only the Jewish heart, to maltem orlas lavavchem. It's only our love for each other that will eliminate the blockages in our heart, that will allow us to integrate into one species, one Bnei Yisrael, one ki ish echad b'lev echad, barcheinu avinu kolanu ke'echad, the idea that we should become one nation under God. Melech HaMashiach is going to have one job. She'ein ha'gavav el Hashem el kod bilvat, only to bring us all, that we should all be underneath God in unison. How could that happen? If me and you and at odds with each other from our body. And that's what the Holy Balatanya says, that the Jewish people, all the hundreds of thousands of Jewish people, they suffered. But they didn't suffer. They didn't suffer in the iron furnace for nothing. They suffered to understand that to have a body, to have an ego, to have these 6 energies run loose in your animalistic inclination, to have them run loose, It's the story of all of our lives, starting from when we're little and we're saying, this is mine. And we're fighting with our little brothers and sisters with a little katnas amoichem, starting from the little idea. As soon as I discover myself wants to rule, and my soul gets trapped by myself. And all types of machloikis and all types of competition and gender wars, all types of issues, me. And to discover that I am here for you. My me is here to serve you. And the Jewish people, they were all they came from Avraham Avinu, they came from Yitzchak, and primarily they came from Yaakov, Yisrael, Yosef, and Yehuda. They came. But they all had to become Bnei Yisrael. The greatest revelations happened to every Jewish person. How did that happen? Did it happen in a vacuum? How did they shech the Mitzrim, the God of the Mitzrim? How were they ready to do that? Because they suffered a tremendous amount of suffering. And this suffering was a refinement. We should never have to suffer like we learned in Laskil Chabina, that suffering wakes up a person to his life. We should never have to suffer. But there's no question that the Jewish suffering of the last few thousand years is much more than what the Jewish people suffered in Mitzrayim. And the Holy Baal HaTanya explains, what is the point of this suffering? The point of the suffering is just to get to compassion. When we have sometimes children that are not religious, or when we ourselves fall, it's only so we should eliminate judgment. So should we suffer with another person? When we lose our money, it's only we should know that we're dependent on Hashem. To live a life of compassion means that my ego will not be a contradiction to your ego. Because if you suffer, if you come from a place of paucity, if you come from a place of complete emptiness, you're not secure in your religion. You're not secure in your spirituality. You're not secure. Don't believe in yourself until the day that you die. You're not secure in anything. If Hashem doesn't protect you at this minute, you don't have money in your bank account. You don't have spiritual money. You don't have anything. In 1 minute, the Kohen Gadol became a tzeduki. In 1 minute, a person could lose everything from a certain sense of arrogance. So the Holy Baal HaTanya explains that real compassion means to suffer, but you don't necessarily have to suffer. It means you have to suffer with another person. You have to eliminate the ego and not be secure in yourself. And he says that the Jewish people went through tremendous actual physical suffering to witness 3 things, to fix the Chet Eitz HaDaas. The Chet Eitz HaDaas happened for 3 reasons. Reason number 1 was the snake. The snake embodied the body of the bodies. The nudity of the body. The snake was harum. It wanted just to idolize, to worship the idol of the body. And it saw Chava, who was a reflection of Adam, who Adam was a reflection of God. And he saw Chava and he said, you are the body of all the bodies. He wanted Chava. And therefore he gave him the food. He gave Chava the food that will focus on the body. And Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they rectified this. But then their children had to rectify it also. They had to witness it in the macro. They had to witness what the nachash, what the ego does, what all of our egos do, what all of the Mitzrim do. And the Mitzrim are the nachash. You understand? The crown of their head was the snake. Moshe and Aaron come with the snake. The snake turns into a snake. It swallows up the snake. Hatanin HaGadol HaRoivitz, the snake that lives in the water. The alligator, the snakes, the whole idea of the Mitzrim symbolized the snake. And they lived the life of the Nile River with a snake, the whole entire snake philosophy, which is to idolize the body, to idolize it. And then that crushed. After the Jews suffered, the Jews always served the Shamayim, they served the Eibishter. They always knew that even though rain didn't come, they knew that the core of everything is God. And my body's here to be a temple for God. And even they suffered, even they broke their bodies. The Egyptians worshiped the body. They worshiped the snake. And in the end, they were drowned by the body. They were drowned by the water because they only served the water for pleasure. But the Jewish people understood, Limtar Hashamayim Tishtemoyim, from the heavens we drink water, because the heavens represent the heaven, the kisei. The reason why we get water from the heavens is because because all of that energy is the energy of life from God. And we have to pray to get rain. Like all the Mauritian prayed, Rashi says. And this is the tremendous idea that the Jewish people witnessed three things. Number one, they watched the destruction of the ego, of the snake, the decay of the Mitzri. The Mitzri is the bondage, the boundaries, the bondage of my body, to idolize the body. Then they said, we're not our bodies, we're not Mitzrim, so what are we? There's so many years in Golos. Then they came Kriyas Yamsuf. They came out of the water, they came out of the womb, they discovered their souls, they discovered heaven. Everything was split at the core. They discovered their souls. And now that they discovered their souls, at Matan Torah, they were able to discover the body. They were able to discover the desert. Really, the water turned to dry land. And in the dry land, they saw the water. They saw the heavens. They saw the souls. They saw the Jewish people's really Yisrael. So what's Matan Torah? Matan Torah is Kosav Rachmana. Matan Torah is, I don't want heaven for the sake of heaven. I want you to know what heaven is, but I want you to bring heaven down to earth. I want you to know what water is, and I want you to bring it into the desert. I want you to make me a garden in the desert. You're going to be barren. You're going to have an ego. You're going to have temptation. You're going to suffer. Suffer from, number one, from the judgment, first judging each other. You're going to grow up in a state. But you're going to know the moment of Matan Torah, they saw the purpose of the body. Yes, later on, they made an eagle from it. Right away. They went to serve to make ego. They saw the Pnei Shor. They saw the beauty in the animal. They saw the beauty in the body. And right away, there were some that tried to corrupt it. And we do this all the time. We make logos and egos out of our businesses and so on and so forth. We try all these forms of idol worship. We laugh at them, but we're doing the same thing. But the whole idea is that for my logo to serve you, for my ego, for me to surrender my animal, for me to discover the selfishness so I can give it to you. It's not that we fight. It's not that Avram Avinu, that Hashem wanted just Avram Avinu. He wanted people will have an animalistic inclination, will have an ego, will have a taste in the food, will have a tremendous yearning for wealth. But ultimately to discover that all of that wealth is not a contradiction to you because I'm here for you. And that's compassion. That's compassion, that's chesed and gvura both become rachamim. And rachamim doesn't remain in the eyes that you shed a tear. It comes down to a smile. It comes down to nice words. It comes down to an action of giving a coin to a person. It comes to an action to actually physically suffering with him. When you become one with him, you eliminate boundaries, you eliminate shame, you eliminate it, but you physically do it. You bring down the rachamim to netzach, hoid, yisoid, and malchus. Those are four energies of activity, of coming down one level to the next level, till it actually happens, till you become one. And it's like this in life, and it's like this in every area. And this is the secret of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov came and he said, just like the Jewish people in the end of Golus in Mitzrayim, through shechting the god of the Egyptians, through doing the Dam Milah, through listening to a few different things, through doing chesed with each other, like the Chofetz Chaim brings down, through loving each other. Little things, they merited to watch when the clock struck midnight that all the firstborn, even the firstborn idols, crumbled, disintegrated. They merited miracles beyond. And they thought that was the most magical experience, but that was just watching the ego die. But to discover the souls in the most majestic way, they never imagined. Just like Yosef HaTzadik never imagined he would own Mitzrayim. And they never imagined Matan Torah, the third ultimate revelation. And so too, 6,000 years in Golus. The suffering of thousands of years in Golus. We don't imagine what's coming. But the Gilui of the Baal Shem Tov, the revelation of the Chassidic philosophy is that now in Golus, the idea is not just to witness the miracle that's going to be but to bring it in. That a nation of 15 million people, empty nonetheless, paucity in spirituality, paucity in intelligence, but rich in compassion. To live with this idea that even we don't have the intelligence of the great giant prophets, and even though we don't have the love of God the way the great holy tzaddikim had, but we can inculcate. Chesed remains the same. Compassion remains the same. And if we truly realize that my wealth and my ego is okay, if it's here for you, then we can tap into this idea. That is what the Holy Baal Shem Tov said. The mission is that these wellsprings, this is the reason why we spent a year learning this letter, because when the wellsprings of your knowledge of compassion, of the inner dimension of the purpose of life, when that wellsprings become known to everybody, then the Messianic era will be ushered in, because you have ushered it in by yourself. You understand? You have to usher it in by yourself. You have to create this harmony from within. Pada b'shalom nafshi. In Tafshin Lamed Tes, right after Yud Shvat, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said that the difference between this Golus and all other Goluses is that we're going out of Golus, but even of Shalom. We're going to have this peace that he's talking about over here, where the people, where there may be wars on the outside, but internally there's going to be a peace, because we're going to make peace with the ego. Because my ego is not going to be a contradiction to your ego, because my ego will serve you. And when we inculcate that idea, when we understand that the secret is not to discover this when Mashiach comes, we're going to tear our hair out of our head, because we'll wish we could do another act of compassion, because we will lose our sense of free choice. Because when the truth is revealed, there's no more free choice. And that is the most magical thing in the world. And that is what the Baal Shem Tov was told by Mashiach, that it's you, that you are going to allow your children, your name is Yisrael, you represent Yisrael Baal Shem, you represent Yaakov Avinu, you represent Yisrael, you represent compassion. Yisrael means compassion, Yasser, to make the kindness real. You will wake up the Jewish nation. And that Jewish nation will eventually inculcate and integrate and inter-include and study these ideas of true love. And it is that love, just like the love was the culmination of the suffering of 210 years, and just like we suffered with the Holocaust and so many inquisitions and all different types of things, but the final act of redemption is through the Nachshon and Aminadavs. It's through the people who will actually integrate and inculcate and make it their life's obsession to love each other compassionately, to eliminate the labels by Jewish people, to eliminate all boundaries. That idea is to bring compassion real. And of true that the Messianic era, we will only study compassion, and we will only look back in history at compassion of all the generations, and we will see the miracles. And the Torah Chadasha will be a new idea to see how the Jewish people created a new Torah. They created with their life, living this life. They brought in a new energy into the world. They made a new hybrid of physical and spiritual. They've tapped into the creative potential of Knesset Yisrael. And they will live with that forever. But it's our generation, it's us that have the ability to realize that we have wealth like nobody ever had before. But it's not for us to hold in our bank account. It's for us to inculcate and for us to cultivate compassion in the most profound sense, and to use the money as a vehicle of expressing the core of the Jewish heart, which no artificial intelligence can create. But it's only me and you. It's only when we realize that the buck lies with us, that the revelation of the Messianic era is a transformation of our hearts. And our hearts of loving each other, when it's Ki'ish Echad B'Lev Echad, when it's Ein HaGaba Vel Hashem Kol B'Vat, when it's Shechina Shruya B'Neihem, how could there be Yishkino Hashem if we're at odds with each other? But if my ego is not at odds with your ego, my body is not in contradiction to your body, my logo is not in contradiction to your logo, because all of it's for you. When I discover the essence of compassion, I've rectified all the 6 midos. I've rectified the 6,000 years of generation of Gullus. I've rectified the 6 days of work. I'm able to come now to Malchus, to Shabbos. I'm able to bring Rachamim into Shabbos. I'm able to bring Tferes into Malchus. I'm able to bring the compassion into activity, where I've unified, where I am me, and I'm the only one, and you are you, and you're the only one, and we could all coexist together. We could all be the only one, because we discover in our oneness, we're all one. We're all the same. And anything that looks separate from you is only so I can give you. Only so I can have something extra to give you. And that is the most magical thing in the world. And to discover that now is the call to action. Because the Messianic era is up to our activity. The Holy Lubavitcher Rebbe said that the main obsession with compassion, that's up to our generation. Because we're the ones who are going to usher in the Messianic era. We're the ones who are bringing in the spiritual technology, the spiritual idea, where all hearts can become one. And all Jewish people could become so refined that they can operate as one B'nai Yisrael. That when you say Shema Yisrael, you'll understand that Shema Yisrael includes all the Jewish people. Not only your minyan, not only your shul, but all the shuls together. and to understand that is the essence. Then the Eibusher will dwell, not like the way he dwelled in the base by Sheni, but the way he's going to dwell in by Shlishi, where all the Bnei Yisrael is going to feel like they're one. There won't be no Jew that doesn't feel like he's the purpose. There won't be one Jew that won't feel that the Tferes, the Rakamim, the Yaakov Avinu, the Yisrael, that he's the Yisrael. And that is the ultimate revelation of the Messianic era. But it's to live like that now will usher in and will allow us to experience this in the Messianic era.